What's up guys, it's Valkia, welcome back to another video. This time we're going to take a look at how we can take down Widowmakers, McCrees, and soldiers as Pharah. If you're going to engage one of these three heroes, it really comes down to one thing, and that is creating pressure. The more pressure you create on that hero that you're facing, the more likely they are to mess up. Firstly, become familiar with the locations of where these heroes normally sit. You'll find that Widowmakers normally sit in a specific place because it's best for viewing the area. Soldiers are normally in the kind of mid-ground, and McCrees can be more front to mid-ground, but also they can be a little bit more sneaky because of the flashbang. Alright, so let's take a look at how you take down soldiers. The ideal way is that you take the soldier out before he puts down his biotic field. If he puts down his biotic field, it's going to take you potentially up to another 2 rockets to take down the soldier. And in that amount of time, you've got a big chance that he's going to take you out as well. So step 1 to taking out any of the heroes really is to locate where they are. Are they in an area which is easy for you to get to? If you get into problems, can you back down or get back to your team quickly? My last video guide on playing Pharah explained about when you're engaging somebody, are you safe? Are you in an area which you can be seen by the other players on the team? Or are you safely hidden away so they can't get to you? And secondly, the best possible scenario is that when you go in for your attack, your own teammates go in and start attacking the enemy team as well. This gives you a chance to start taking the soldier out 1v1 rather than going in and being able to be focused by more than one of the enemy team. You can do that so long as you're safe and you know that where you're going to be going to, you get a safe location, but if not, especially on Volskar when the soldier's on top of the kind of platform in the middle, it's very open space, and it's very easy to get taken out. So you've got to make sure that your team follow up with an attack as well. So finally, let's go in for the attack on the soldier. We know his location, we know the risks of going in. So I'll start proceeding to go towards the soldier. I will turn around, use a concussive blast on the floor, then using shift to get yourself boosted into the air. I turn around, put it on the floor, turn back, and as soon as I turn back, I put a single rocket to where the soldier is. Now this is practice. This is where you need to practice the rocket, and if you hit that first rocket, all it takes is 1 single second rocket to take down that soldier. The concussive blast will speed you as quickly as you can towards the location of the target, because the quicker you get into his face, the more likely he is to mess up. And then in this clip, you'll see I'll put a single rocket in, it'll blast him into the air, and then I'll get a second air shot on him. Let's take away the slow-mo so you can actually see how fast that actually happened. Go for the soldier. Soldier low. Soldier down. Soldier down. You can practice the concussive boost shots on the training ground versus the bots. I would suggest also trying it on a variety of bots. Some of the bots are standing still. These are the ones that you should start practicing on, and then the ones which are moving, because then you need to predict where the rockets need to land to be able to hit your first shot. I would also suggest that you start from behind cover and then boost out from behind the cover, because this becomes more realistic in what's actually going to happen in game, because you're not just going to be showing yourself in the middle of the map then doing it. I have absolutely no problems going up close to a soldier. This is because they don't have like a flashbang like McCree. They only can rely on their own accuracy and their own gameplay to try and stop the Pharah. And especially when you're right on them, the pressure that you create can really throw a soldier off, especially when you're putting loads of rockets into them and they're bouncing around all over the place. It can really throw their aim off and give the Pharah the advantage. This might be pretty obvious, but people say there's hit scans change Pharah, but if the hit scans can't see you, then they can't hurt you. And there's plenty of routes which they can't see you to get close enough to do some really good damage.
Trying low. Nice. Pro Genji strikes again. Fully did everything there. Guys.
The concussive boost technique is typically used when the enemy is on the high ground, because then you can get yourself up onto a different level as quickly as you need to with the concussive blast. However, if the enemy is on the same level as you, so if you're both on the floor, you can just use the E on the floor to get yourself straight into the space as quickly as possible. With soldier, this isn't too much of a problem. I'll come on to explaining with McCree, but you still got your shift ready for going up into the air if you get yourself into some problems. This is great is if you start shooting a soldier or a McCree or whoever, and suddenly a roadhog comes along, the shift can really save you from the hooks. So let's move on to McCree. I actually prefer taking out McCrees over soldiers. They can be taken out in a very similar way using the concussive boost technique. However, of course, you have to be very hyper aware of McCree's flashbang. If you get too close to McCree's flashbang, you're pretty much guaranteed to be dead if they've got good aim. Since McCree only has 6 shots in his revolver, I find putting rockets in to knock him about works in your favour. You can even use a concussive blast by his feet to knock him left or right, and if you know how far he's going to travel using that concussive blast, you can put another rocket onto him ready to hit him while he's in the air. So as before, you need to assess if the enemy is in a location which is easy for you to reach. Are you going to get into any problems? I prefer using just my concussive blast, my E, to engage McCrees, and this is the reason why. When you go to a McCree, you put your first rocket on, you put him on to half health. What's he going to do? He's going to try and flashbang you straight away rather than putting in a shot. What you need to do is anticipate the flashbang. If you can anticipate the flashbang and boost at the same time, you'll get stunned, but you'll get stunned in mid-air. And by the time the stun wears off, you can turn around and get a second shot onto the McCree and take him out. This technique can save you in multiple situations. And down. Let's move on to Widowmaker. Now, I have a lot of fun playing versus Widowmaker. If anything, everybody says to Pharah switch off because they have Widowmaker more so than when they say they have McCrees or soldiers or double hit scans, because everybody thinks that Pharah does this. So people on your team will just imagine Pharah's floating in the middle of the sky, getting hit from any angle from the Widowmaker, but that isn't how you play Pharah versus Widowmaker, and you can be very effective versus them. So step 1 to taking out the Widowmaker is to finding out exactly where she is. Talk to your team. Do they know where she is, or do you know where she is? Have you seen her? Have you peeked her? What you have to do is don't peek her too much, of course, because it's pretty much one-shot kill to a headshot with a Pharah versus Widow. And what you need to do is get yourself in a position which you're comfortable concussive blasting towards the Widowmaker in such a speed and being able to put a rocket in that she doesn't have any sort of reaction time with the scope to shoot you. Or since she's zoomed in, you'll be so close, she just won't be able to move the mouse or the controller quick enough to get her reticle back onto you. If a Widowmaker can't see you, it means she's going to be focusing elsewhere, and most likely she's going to be scoped in, ready to do some maximum damage. When she is scoped in, however, she has a limited view range, which means you can come out from left or right without her actually noticing until it's too late. The more you practice direct rockets, the more likely you'll be able to take them out in a kind of peek and shoot kind of scenario. This is where you'll be floating above the eye line of a doorway or a wall or something like that, and you'll just shoot a rocket, and by the time they know where the rockets come from, you're already gone and hidden back behind that wall again. This is an example where I do it to the Widowmaker. I see where she's going, I know how fast she's moving, I put a rocket in and it hits her directly, taking her out. Direct rockets is definitely the way to go if you want to become a more powerful Pharah. Direct rockets are 120 damage per rocket, so if you can hit 2 of those on any hero, you're pretty much putting them to half health or killing them. So we've spoken about 3 different techniques to take out 3 different hit scan heroes. The next techniques are universal, and they pretty much work on all of the heroes. A technique I would use inside an enclosed space, if the ceiling is quite low, is I'd be in there shooting a McCree or a soldier, and I'd use my shift, my boost, to go up to the ceiling, and because the ceiling's very low, I'd hit my head on the ceiling, and I'd drop straight back down. But doing that, I'd put a couple of rockets in, and if you can get those rockets on target, it makes it very difficult for the enemy to hit you. Sometimes you have to be like Genji in the way with reflexes as Pharah, because things will happen and you have to react to them very, very quickly. This clip shows a high noon McCree, and you can see how quickly I snap my aim onto him, getting ready to take him down. The concussive blast is a great ability to start engaging into fights. However, if you're already in a fight, you can use it as mobility to go from left to right, right to left, or just be a moving target for the hit scan heroes, which makes you a much more difficult hero to hit. You can see in this video example where the soldier, I put my concussive blast as I'm going into the room just to make myself a bit harder to hit than just floating in or walking down the stairs. After taking down the soldier, I follow on to another technique called the boost rocket. This is where you don't have your E ability available, but you have your shift, and as you shift and go into the air, you put a single rocket on, and as you practice your direct hit rockets, hopefully you'll be able to hit the target.
30 seconds.
Put it down. Once you start practicing the techniques, you can then combine them together to become very, very powerful. You need to know the limitations of each hero, knowing that you're too close to McCree for a flashbang or you're in the line of sight of Widowmaker. You need to have this in your subconscious mind, that you know you're out in the open, or you know that a Roadhog might hook you, or a McCree might be able to flashbang you because you're too close, and understand what you need to do to get away from a situation if you're about to get into a problem. Hopefully I've been able to shed some light on how to take down the hit scan heroes. What you mustn't underestimate, however, is the higher you go, the better the aim becomes of that hit scan player, so you might get caught out. Even I find myself in some situations where I must switch to Pharah because I'm getting caught out too many times. That brings us to the end of the video. Make sure to subscribe for more content, hit that like button if you've enjoyed the video. You can also catch me live on twitch.tv/Valkia for live plays.